Let me ask you something real. Have you ever received feedback that stung, even if you knew it might be true? That moment when someone says, "Hey, just being honest," and suddenly your whole body tightens, your face flushes, your heart speeds up, and your mind starts rewriting the scene like a defense attorney in overdrive. We've all been there. Criticism, no matter how constructive, can feel like a punch to the ego. But what if I told you that very punch could become the push you needed to grow? This video isn't about ignoring criticism. It's about transforming it into something you can use. Because feedback is either a weapon or a workout. You choose which. Let's break it down. The power of constructive feedback. Let's talk about something that makes all of us flinch. Criticism. Now be honest. What's your first reaction when someone says, "Hey, can I give you some feedback?" Do your shoulders tighten? Do you start scanning the room for an escape route? Does your brain immediately prep its defense speech before they even open their mouth? You're not alone. Criticism hits us where we live, our self-worth, our pride, our perfectionism. And even when it's meant to help us, it often feels like a punch to the gut. But what if we're looking at it all wrong? What if feedback isn't an attack but a mirror? Not a spotlight on our flaws, but a flashlight showing us where to grow? Let's break this down. Understanding the intent, not all criticism is created equal. Some of it is laced with ego or insecurity, but some of it is pure gold, wrapped in awkwardness. Here's how to know the difference. Ask, is this person invested in my success? Are they pointing something out to hurt me or to help me level up? Does the message sting because it's true? Sometimes the truth hurts, but truth with intention, that's surgical growth. It might sting now, but it saves you pain later. Separating the signal from the noise. Let's be real. Some people love to criticize. Keyboard warriors, gossipers, passive-aggressive coworkers. But here's the trick. Don't throw out the feedback just because you don't like the messenger. Dig through the mess and ask, what's useful here? What's true, even if I don't like how it was said? It's like gold mining. You're gonna get some dirt. But that doesn't mean there's no treasure underneath. Don't take it personally. Here's a mind bender. Most of the time, criticism isn't even about you. It's a reflection of what others value, expect, or fear. But we take it personally because we want to be seen. We want to be good enough. Let me tell you something powerful. You can be open to feedback without being wounded by it. Let it in. Use what helps, but don't let someone's opinion become your identity. Thicker skin isn't about being cold. It's about being clear on who you are, what you value, and what you're building. Turning criticism into actionable steps, okay? You've gotten the feedback. You didn't run. You didn't snap. You breathed through it. Now what? Here's where most people mess up. They either dismiss the criticism or they drown in it. But you're gonna translate it into something useful. Here's how. Reframing negativity. You hear, "You talk too much in meetings." Old reaction. "Wow, I'm annoying. I should just stop talking." Reframe. "Maybe I need to practice active listening and know when to speak up with clarity." See the difference? One shuts you down. The other sharpens you. Every critique has two sides, the shame spiral or the growth angle. Choose the angle that leads to action. Identifying specific areas for improvement, vague feedback is frustrating. So ask better questions. Can you give me an example? What would improvement look like to you? How would you handle it differently? Make the blurry feedback sharp. The more specific the feedback, the clearer the target. And when you know the target, you can train for it. Creating a growth mindset. This is the game changer. Don't treat feedback like a performance review. Treat it like a skill audit. You're not being judged, you're being invited to grow. Repeat to yourself, this isn't about proving anything, it's about improving everything. When you treat feedback like a map, not a verdict, you stop resisting it. You start seeking it. You don't fear feedback anymore. You become the kind of person who says, "Tell me what I can do better. I want to rise." Because the truth is, feedback is a compass, but you're the one steering the ship. Developing a resilience toolkit. Let's be real. Even when you know the feedback is helpful, it can still sting. Why? Because we care. Because we're wired to protect our image, our progress, our sense of self. But here's the truth most people miss. You don't grow by avoiding discomfort. You grow by building the tools to meet it, with grace, clarity, and courage. Let's build your resilience toolkit, the inner armor that lets you receive feedback without letting it shatter you. 1. Practicing self-compassion first tool? Kindness to yourself. Not the fluffy kind, the powerful kind. You made a mistake? That doesn't mean you're a failure. It means you're trying. You're in motion. You're learning on the field, not sitting in the stands. Say to yourself, I'm allowed to get it wrong. I'm also allowed to get better. Most people talk to themselves like an enemy, but imagine if your inner voice became your coach, not your critic. That alone can change everything. 2. Building a support system. You're strong, but you don't have to be strong alone. Feedback can feel like a mirror, but mirrors don't always show the full picture. Surround yourself with people who tell you the truth without tearing you down, remind you of your growth when you can't see it, help you zoom out when you're stuck in the weeds. Find your circle, or build one. And when you're unsure, don't ask, am I good enough? Ask them, what do you see in me that I might be missing? That one question, it can rewire your identity. 3. Utilizing mindfulness techniques. Feedback is data, but our brains often turn it into drama. So when criticism hits, pause. Don't react. Just breathe. Mindfulness helps you observe your emotions without becoming them. Close your eyes. Notice where tension lives in your body. Let it rise, then release it. Simple, still, strong. This gives you space, and that space becomes choice. When you respond instead of react, you take your power back. The most resilient people aren't the toughest. They're the most present. Building confidence through feedback. Now let's talk about what happens when you actually apply the feedback. When you stop avoiding it and start owning it, something incredible unfolds. You start seeing results. You stop fearing mistakes. And that old self-doubt? It starts to fade, replaced by something solid. Confidence. But not the fake loud kind. The deep, grounded, quiet kind that says, I know what I've come through. I know what I've learned. I trust who I'm becoming. Let's talk about how to build that. 1. Recognizing progress. You've been evolving, even when you didn't notice. So stop and ask, what feedback have I acted on in the last year? What used to trigger me that now feels easier? Where have I gotten stronger? Track your growth. Document your wins. Your confidence needs receipts. Give it proof. 2. Focusing on strengths. Feedback often focuses on what's broken. But your superpowers? They're still intact. Maybe you're not great at time management, say, but you're a creative force. Maybe you freeze in conflict, but your empathy connects deeply. Strengths don't excuse weaknesses. They balance them. They remind you that you are more than your blind spots. So write this down. My feedback is valid, Baal, but so is my value. That's not ego. That's alignment. 3. Embracing the journey of growth. Here's the real magic. Feedback isn't the end of your story. It's just a chapter, a turning point, a plot twist that leads to breakthrough. So when you hear something hard to swallow, remember this. It's not an attack. It's a compass. It's not, you're not good enough. It's, you're ready to level up. Every time you apply feedback with humility and courage, you're building a life of integrity, depth, and excellence. And that's unshakable confidence. Conclusion. Turn criticism into power. Let's recap real quick, but with heart. Criticism doesn't have to break you. Feedback? It isn't rejection. It's redirection. Growth. Real growth? It's built in the moments when you choose to pause, reflect, and reframe what once felt like an attack into an opportunity to evolve. You've got the tools now, filtering the noise from the truth, turning feedback into focused action, building resilience that bends but doesn't break, and crafting unshakable confidence rooted in real progress. That's not just mindset work, that's identity work. Because the person who can take feedback and turn it into fire, that person is dangerous in the best way. Unstoppable, unshaken, unfolding, call to action. So here's your challenge. Not someday, but today. Think back to the last piece of feedback you received, even the one that stung a little, maybe especially that one. What was the truth buried in it? What specific action could you take from it, even just one? And what would happen if, instead of hiding from it, you used it to rise? Write it down. Reframe it. Act on it. and watch who you become in the process. Then share it with someone you trust in your journal or right here in the comments. Because when we share our growth stories, we light the way for someone else still in the dark. Final thought. The mirror and the fire criticism can feel like a mirror that reflects your flaws. But if you look deeper, you'll see it's also a flame. It burns away the parts of you that are no longer serving your growth. It refines you, sharpens you, and shows you the strong, clear, capable version of yourself that was always waiting to be revealed. You're not fragile. You're forging something. Let the feedback fuel your focus. Let the tension make you tougher. Let every critique become a key to unlock your next level. Because you're not here to play small. You're here to rise. Let's grow.